Now here's something that I hear a lot, and honestly, something that I felt myself. I have too much stuff and I still can't seem to start. You've got a whole stash of beautiful papers. Maybe you've got a dedicated creative space. You've got supplies you've been collecting for years. And somehow, when you sit down to actually make something, you just stall. You move things around. Maybe you clean your space, you clean your desk. Maybe you're just scrolling or you are watching lots of videos, but you're not really creating. It's definitely not a lack of ideas, and it's not laziness. It's having too many options and no clear place to begin. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I want to show you what I have been experimenting with. This is my creative kit for today. Everything that I am going to need to make something in my art journal is going to be put in here. My journal, some papers, glue or double-sided tape, any small embellishments that I want. That's it. And I'm going to take this out to my backyard, sit down, open it up, and see what I can make with only what's inside this lunchbox. But first I want to show you what I'm going to pack in here, because I think that's really the most important part. So I found this Crabtree and Evelyn lunchbox, or I don't even know if it's a lunchbox, but it's a cute tin that looks like a lunchbox. I found it at an antique mall and I loved it. Now the first thing I'm going to choose is a journal, because obviously the journal has to fit inside the box. So I have this little journal here. I started making it, I don't know, for a video or something, and I never got around to actually doing anything or doing very much with it. This was an envelope, just a manila colored envelope, and I used a pamphlet stitch to put in a single signature. Somebody had mailed me a bunch of papers dyed, I think, with avocado pit. It's this really pretty purple, or not purple, gray. And also a little bit pink, and it goes really well with this pattern paper that I put in. So anyway, I made this little, very simple journal, and so I think I want to use this to start creating in. So that's going to go in here. Now I'm going to choose a bunch of papers, and I just finished with an in-person event this past weekend. I got a bunch of leftover papers put inside a large bin. So excuse me while I go rifle through there and pull stuff out that I can stick inside my lunchbox. So there is just so much stuff in here. Let's see. This looks interesting. It's got some nice color on there. I'll grab that. I'll grab anything that has kind of like this pinkish color on it. So I've got plenty of background papers. I want to include some things like postcards. So I've got a couple of these. I don't know how I will use them, but just to have a bunch, that's nice. I have my tin of photographs. So maybe I will take a small bunch from here. I don't want to dig too much through these. Maybe I will just grab another handful more. Okay. I don't want too much, right? Now I need some color. I have a bunch of neutral papers, a little bit of color, but I need some focal points with color. So maybe I can grab something like roses. And I don't need all of these roses. So maybe just a section of one sheet. I've also got these bluebirds. Maybe I will take this. I think that's enough color. Lastly, I have this box of scraps, and maybe I will take a few things out of here just to have some ideas for tiny, small things that I can use in my collages. With these little ones, I have an envelope, so I'm just going to shove them in here because I don't want them floating in my lunchbox. So this is plenty to work with, okay? When I was just at my in-person retreat, one of the people attending, Elizabeth, she brought for me a sample of this tri-fold folio that she had made from watching the video I did from the Christmas journal. Well, it's not really a journal, but during that video, I took a bunch of Christmas themed papers and I used some kind of paper bag and I created this kind of tri-fold thing. See, it's got a paper bag that folds open, you see? It would be so awesome if you use something like this to store your papers and that it could fit in the lunchbox. This is too big, so I would look for paper bags that would obviously be, the right size, or just take out the stuff so that it doesn't overflow, and then it would fit just fine. Yes, it would. So that would be so cool to do something like this for storing a bunch of papers that you could take with you in your box or whatever. I don't have one right now, so I'm just going to put it in here like this. Here's my journal. Now, what else do I need? I would need a glue stick, double-sided tape, yes, and a ruler. I like to tear my pages with this. Maybe you want to use scissors, you could do that. If I had a small tin with postage stamps, I might include that. You could also put some washi tape in. Let's just put some of these in here, okay? So I think that's it. I think that's all I want to put in here, okay? So now I'm going to close it up. And I'm going to take it somewhere around my house, somewhere where I can create. I think the best option for me would be outside on my porch, on my patio. But think about in your home where you could take something and go somewhere else. It could be a different room in your house, right? The weather's really nice right now when it's springtime, so being outside might be fun. But anywhere in your house where you don't typically create, I guess you could say that way. And then you're going to see, or I'm going to see, if what I have in here is sufficient to work for, say, half an hour, 45 minutes, creating some pages in my art journal. So I will go do this, and then I will come back and show you what I made. Hello. Okay, I am back. Shadows are creeping in. It's getting late afternoon. Hopefully there won't be too many distractions with the sunlight, but I wanted to show you what I created and also go over some of the things I noticed in my lunchbox. So overall, I would say that this was a success. I obviously forgot things, which is good. So now I could, make a list of the things that I was missing. One of the things that I was missing is something like a ordinary magazine where I could use it, to glue down papers. Not this size because that wouldn't have fit, but if I took something like a catalog and cut it in half, I probably could use half of the catalog in here as a base for gluing things down. What else? My little box is a mess because I was just kind of throwing things back in here as I was, using the paper pieces. So figuring out some kind of system of how I could keep things a little bit more organized would be good. I had mentioned creating something like this pocket folio. This might be a nice idea for just kind of having a place that I could put in odds and ends. So I might think about creating something like this so that I could throw things in and kind of reach for them as needed, right? And then just keep it in there. Overall, I think that I chose a good amount of things, so I might add a few things more. In all, it was good. In 45 minutes, I managed to do 3 pages. I will say that it was challenging being outside because the breeze was picking up from time to time and it was causing a little bit of mischief. But overall, I would say that this was a fun experiment. I finished something. I sat down, I opened my little lunchbox, and I made several pages from start to finish. No digging through drawers and no talking myself out of doing things. Okay, lots of sun, so let me move the camera a little bit. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Sometimes when there is too much of an option, it's so difficult to choose. It's easy to get overwhelmed with too many choices and then nothing feels right. So you don't need a lunchbox. You could use a shoebox or a tin or a bag, any kind of container that has a limit. So here's what I would like you to do sometime in the near future. Find a container and pack it just like I did, choosing the things that you think that you may use, and then close the lid and go somewhere. Go somewhere different in your home and see what you can make. And then come back to the comments and let me know how it went. I want to know if you put anything special in your box and also how did your pages come out, okay? So YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video next. Thanks so much for watching and I will see you the next time.